It's important for nerds such as ourselves to be educated on real-world things, because one of the criticisms leveled against the nerd community is that we are stupid. In their eyes, we've allocated all our proverbial skill points into made-up universes and children's toys. So to counter that narrative, today we will be looking at a cool economic concept and discussing how it relates to LEGO, particularly the upcoming Lord of the Rings sets. Then we'll look at some potential Lord of the Rings sets on the cheaper end of the spectrum. The topic of today is the Laffer Curve, which was developed in 1974 by economist Arthur Laffer. Here's what it looks like. The x-axis is the tax rate of a country, and the y-axis is the tax revenue that the government is bringing in. When the tax rate is 0, the tax revenue is 0. But when the tax rate is 100, the tax revenue is also 0, because no one's going to work if the government is taking 100% of their wages. Now, there's a point in the middle here which is the optimal tax rate, where the government is bringing in the most amount of money. But after that point, raising the tax rate is actually counterproductive. In fairness, the Laffer curve has its drawbacks. First, it assumes that the tax rate is simple and flat, while in most modern economies, the tax system is progressive, and there's all sorts of complicated benefits if you're married or have children, give to charity, that kind of thing. Second, it's impossible to know where an economy is on the Laffer curve at any given time. And third, the curve isn't symmetrical. It probably looks more like this. But again, it's impossible to know for sure. Despite these limitations, it's still a very useful tool when considering price models, and it can be very easily applied to Legos. Imagine instead that the x-axis is the price of a set, and the y-axis is the revenue Lego receives on all sales of that set. If the set is a $10 set with 3 desirable minifigures, a lot more people will buy it than will buy a $500 set. The average broke college student won't buy an $80 Weathertop, but would buy a $30 Ringwraith Road set of some kind. The pitch I'm making here is that by producing cheaper sets, LEGO would actually make more sales and more profit. Total profit is equal to profit per unit times units sold, and LEGO has tended towards boosting the former by raising prices, which neglects the latter. This particularly matters for Lord of the Rings, which is an especially character-rich franchise. Lord of the Rings also has no small vehicles like Star Wars does, and most sets are likely to be smaller versions of massive locations from the movies. But if LEGO manages to keep the prices down on their sets, I believe they will see a lot more sales and ultimately greater profits. So with that, let's look at some options for LEGO Lord of the Rings sets that could be reasonably produced under $50 or $60. The first one I have here is a Ringwraith Encounter set, which depicts this scene from the Fellowship of the Ring. Pretty iconic, great minifigure opportunities, and not too big. You just need a road, tree, and dirt wall for the hobbits to hide behind. Realistically, LEGO would only include 2 hobbits in this set, Frodo and probably Pippin, but getting all 4 would be ideal. And the Ringwraith on a horse, of course, can't forget that. Next, I was thinking we could see an Ammon Hen set for around $40. This would be pretty straightforward, just the stone structure, the chair, and a nearby piece of foliage. Minifigures would be Aragorn, Frodo, and 2 Uruk-hai. 3 Uruk-hai would be preferable, but we should keep our hopes reasonable. Similar, we could get a Boromir's Last Stand set featuring Boromir, the orc captain Lurtz, and Uruk-hai and Merry. There will probably be 1 or 2 trees and a stone bridge, or one of those statues that we see in the background. This should be doable for around $25. Moving to the 2 towers, the biggest opportunity here would be a Dead Marshes set, with Frodo, Sam, and Gollum. The terrain for this set has the potential to be either very boring or very interesting. I think it'd be awesome if they included a 4th figure, one of the dead elves in the water, and maybe a feature where Frodo can fall into the marsh. This one would probably fall into the $50 price range, but a Treebeard set would be awesome. You could put Merry and Pippin on his shoulders and maybe include that goblin that chases them into the forest. Then we have that scene where LEGO would sell every single set that they made from it, the Warg fight. If LEGO had a set with Aragorn, 2 Riders of Rohan, Gimli, and 2 Orc Riders, that thing would sell out everywhere. It'd basically be a battle pack. There's not much you could include for terrain, like maybe a big plate with some rocks and bushes, but it doesn't much matter. It's basically a big minifigure pack, and fans, myself included, would go wild for that. The Return of the King has fewer opportunities for a cheaper set, but I think there's a lot of value in an Osgiliath ambush set. All this scene really needs is a tower, an archway, and a river area. Minifigures could just be 2 orcs in a boat, Faramir, and a generic Gondor soldier. I can see this being made for around $30 and being highly successful. That about does it for my low-cost set ideas. I hope you enjoyed, and I greatly appreciate your time. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas like this or any feedback on this video. And also, thank you to those folks who commented on my last video. It's reached over 200 views in the last 3 days, which is way more than I expected. I really appreciate you all, and I hope to see you again soon.